Alright, here's a little vid on how to do a truss rod on a, well, this is for a Jazzmaster, but it could be on any bloody neck. First thing you've got to do is get yourself a beer. And after you got yourself a beer, drink a little bit of that and then calm down. Then what we're going to do is we bend up one of these in 3/16 steel. We round a truss rod slot and we work out exactly what length we've got to cut it off at. So I'm now going to mark out, that's our truss rod nut. That's going to be threaded onto the bottom rod. So we need to cut that off just a little bit longer than there. I'll make these up. They're the adjustment nut. I'll make these up as well, bend them up. That's pretty easy. And I also make little brass stoppers. So I cut one, then I usually sand it up close to the next hole and then cut the next one off, and I'll show you how you sand the other one after this anyway. But I've got to cut this off here, and then I've got to mark out which hole's got to go where, because one of the brass holes there's a stopped hole in the brass, and then the other hole goes all the way through, which has got the tapped end on it. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to mark out exactly where we're going to cut this off, and then we've got to go and cut the brass over there. Alright, now I've cut the bit of brass. I've just slipped him on the through hole, and I'm just putting the adjustment nut to slide up right next to it, and it stops, and I can just work out exactly where it goes. So the top hole we're going to go halfway through the brass, and the bottom hole we're going to just go about 3 threads, or three and a half threads outside the extended part of the rod here. So we'll mark them on. Trusty old Sharpie. So we're going to go. Here we go. So about halfway through here, which is about there. And I'll come down here and I'll just sort of look at this, and I'll mark about there to cut off. And I'll just cut, I know these are huge horrible lines, but we'll just cut through the middle of them, and it should work out pretty nicely. Okay, come the steel now, and then I've got to start threading. 3/16 thread that goes on this, or you can use a 1032 UNF, I think it is. Alright, next up. And now I've cut the truss rod. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to get rid of these really jagged ends of this steel just on the grinder. Ooh, come on, focus. There we go. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to start tapping them, and we should have a truss rod basically installed. I'll bring up the tape as well. The other thing I like to do is after you sand the ends, because you won't be able to get this back on unless you sand the ends. Sand, grind, doesn't really matter. You can file them just as long as they're round in the end to receive the tap on it. I like to slip this on, and you can hold it with the steel, just by, because that will slip on. This other bit of steel here will come up and hold on just on the back of it, so you can actually hold on the sander pretty easily without getting your hands too close, which is actually a very good thing, because you don't want to sand your hands. I can tell you that. Alright, I'll go and do that. Well, I've sanded up the brass block, and I'll probably sand it a tiny bit more, but we'll make the rest of the truss rod until then. And I've got the tap as well, which I said 1032, which it is, but it's NF, so it's 3/16 UNF or 1032 NF. and that's what I'm going to use to tap this one here. I'm going to put the, actually I'll get it right now, this here, a bit of brass, and pop it right down the end down here. There we go. And then it just pulls this out. And I'm just going to put this on top of here and wind it down. But I need two hands, so I'm going to go and do that, and then I'll show you what the result is afterwards. I just wound the tap on, put a bit of cutting fluid on there, and I went down basically until I couldn't go any further with hitting this. Okay, and then there we go, take that off there. There we go. And there usually is, like, it's hard to see here, but there's see where the tap stops. There's a tiny bit of swarf left there, so you need to get a little file and just file that little bit of swarf off there, and then it will basically go straight on the nut. I'll give this a bit of a spray off with the compressor, and then I'll put some more lubricant on it, and then we'll get it ready to wrap some tape on it, I guess. And there we have it. The truss rod is now made. Last thing I'm going to do is get some of this strapping tape, they call it, or filament tape, and I've got to wrap it. I like doing a little bit of it and just wrap it. It's got to go around the rod, but no overlapping, otherwise it won't fit in the channel. But that's the next step. Wrap up the tape, and I reckon if I go, and there we have it, it's all done. Next thing I need to do is drill the hole in the end of this. It goes up to here, but I'll probably cut up as close as I can to the final shape before I do that, but we're pretty much there. Sweet.